on this computer. Right, so a pleasant good afternoon. So today we'll be having our lab. Lab is pretty straightforward in terms of how it would progress for the rest of the semester. One, we'd have roll call. Two, then we'd actually have a look at the lab itself. I would just direct you or alert you to certain things where you should actually pay attention to with regard to the lab. And then three, the main thing or from the lab itself is the contribution or the handing up of the lab activity worksheet. Right, everybody is seeing my screen?
Yes.
Right, so you're seeing, right, so the group activity worksheet, this is the thing that has to be handed up, right? So it has, it's a PDF, but somebody corrected me. I really shouldn't do it as a fill-it-in PDF. You all would have preferred a Word document, huh? Because in terms of how would you all do this? Because you belong to a group. So how would you fill it out? Put it up on Google Docs?
Yes, sir.
That's probably the best way. So you can put it up. Huh?
It was difficult to put on Google Docs for everybody to put their part.
Because it's a PDF.
PDF, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can change it. But it's actually working pretty good as a fillable form, though.
Yeah, so could you change a fillable form into a normal Word document? That's the question. And the answer is, of course it could, right? So whenever you're in doubt, what do you do? Ask a question.
Google.
So what do you say? How to change a fillable PDF to non-fillable? You could do it like that first and then convert the PDF to a Word document, or just add it. Ask the question directly, boom. How do you change a fillable? And there's software that will do it for you, right? You can just click on ting-ling-ling, right? Here it tells you how to do it as well in Acrobat. DC, this is the free version of Acrobat. So you could just download Acrobat and just follow these instructions here, but it's not difficult. It's not difficult to do at all, all right? So you could just do that, convert it. But going forward, I will see if I could change the others into normal Word documents for you. Not giving any promises. I will see, once I get the time, I'll do it. I'll revert to the other document for you. All right? All would like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So I would see if I could revert it to the original Word document. It was in Word before. Okay, so not an issue. So that's not too much of an issue, but as I said, even as it is here, I could change it. All right, so when you look at the activity, when is it due? Well, let me change my to student. So
Sunday 7.
Right. So when you're finished, yeah, if you just click on the drop box, it tells you Sunday the 7th at 11:59 p.m. That's midnight. So it's midnight on Sunday. All right. So you have 5 days, 9 hours to finish it off and then to submit it. All right. So you have a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't have to be completed today. So you just go into the document, convert it, put it up, and ask questions. I wouldn't tell you all, let me not micromanage. You all are intelligent, highly intelligent people. So you all will figure out a way how to get it filled. And then once you fill it out, right? Of course, the names of the persons in the group, you put that in as well. Sir, I don't know what group I belong to. Very good question. All you do is come up here. Everybody saw the lab groups, yeah? Let's come up there, and you'd see which group you belong to. I think I saw some of you all might have been looking to open WhatsApp groups, which is pretty good, specifically for your avocado, cherry, or guava, mango group, etc. So it's a nice way to communicate among yourselves. But again, I wouldn't micromanage. You all know it better than I, how to navigate the virtual environment. All right, so you just put up the group, you put the persons in on it, and then you submit it. You're familiar with how it's submit. So the first lab today, this would be the format in terms of
just a quick question before you start.
are we submitting one document as a group, or everybody still need to submit it?
Right, so it's one document per group. So it's not individually being submitted. So everybody could come together collectively, work on one document. So it's one document per group. All right?
Understood.
Okay, no problem. So I should have put that in. Right, and in terms of naming your group, right, name the worksheet by using the first name of the person in your group whose name is closest to the letter A. So you all could figure that one out, right? And just name it that. So if your name is John, you all will figure it out. And just name it and put it in there before midnight on Sunday, okay? So today, so today's lab is in reference to the material done during week 1, i.e. the organization of the human body. You all remember that one? I'll just touch briefly on it and then I will let you go. So when we looked at the human body, right, is the human body properly arranged, or is it a haphazard arrangement of things? I hear you, that's a facetious question, really. It is very well arranged. And one of the things you should appreciate going forward, not only in SNF1, SNF2, but as a medical professional as you go forward in your chosen field. Always remember your body is a machine, right? It's absolutely incredible, and it's an incredible machine. And in terms of the organization, it is well organized from a cell, a simple cell, right, which is on the order of a micrometer in diameter. When we're speaking about micrometers, we mentioned that if you take your thumb and forefinger, press them together, when you now pull them apart, if you hold it up to a light and you now pull them apart and you're seeing a little space between it, between your thumb and your forefinger, that's 1 millimeter. So imagine you divide that up into 1,000. And then 26 of those, that's actually like the diameter of some cells. That is really incredible. And yet still your body arranges all of these cells to form a coherent unit. Tissue, cells make tissues. Then the tissues make organs. Organs make organ systems. And the organ systems collectively make you as an entire person. OMG, that is so fascinating when you think about it. Body human, the body, the machine. Absolutely incredible. So always appreciate that your body is a remarkable bit of machinery, and which is why one of the things, not only was it made very well, but it could also fix itself. And when does your body go about fixing itself? Anybody has any clues? When will your body look to fix itself, you think?
When you're sick.
Someone have an injury?
Yes. Yes, all of those things, excuse me, are true. But when will your body look to fix itself in particular? Yes, when you're sick. Let's say
out of whack.
Yeah, when it's out of whack. I think I phrased the question poorly. Let me see if I can rephrase it. Over the course of 24 hours, when does your body look to heal itself? Mark you, the healing goes on all the time.
Sleeping?
Thank you. When you're sleeping, and I phrased the question badly, right? When you're actually sleeping, your body is fixing itself, which is why when you get sick, what usually happens? What do? You go to bed. If you look at some of those old-time shows, you'd see the doctor saying, oh, you need bed rest, 4 days of bed rest, right? Before the advent of a lot of these medicines that came about, yeah, bed rest was the thing when you get sick. You lie down, you drink a little juice or what have you, not fluids, if it's fevers and so on. But resting, and when you rest, your body actually fixes itself. It runs like a diagnostic and it sees what's wrong and it targets, it looks to fix it. And particularly, what part of the body is associated with fixing it as it relates to any, let's say, disease or infection? What part of the body, which organ system is associated with that one, with the fixing of the body?
Immune system, lymphatic?
Yeah, your lymphatic, particularly your lymphatic, very good. Your lymphatic, which is part of the immune system, right? So that is very, very important there, right? When you're looking at it, right, of fixing your body. Your body does a marvelous job of doing it. Sometimes it doesn't do it too well. So we have to get things such as vaccines to help it along its way. All the vaccines really do is boosting the immune system. It boosts the immune system, helps it to do its job that much more efficiently. So do always remember that organization, cell, all the way up to the entire organism. And most critically, your body could fix itself, which it does on a daily basis. So we spoke about that, major organs. You all remind me how many organ systems we have. I forgot.
11.
7 or 11? Which one?
11.
Is there a word to remember that will help you know it's 11?
I can't pronounce the word, but I can tell you the letters.
Yeah, just remember, I always remember in one of my previous classes, I tell them what it is if you have a bread that you don't cut up and somebody tell me hops. So I don't use that analogy anymore. But if you do have a bread and you don't put a knife to it, well, it's unsliced, right? So unsliced RRM or Mr. R, whichever one you prefer, right? And well, that's one way to remember it. If, as somebody was going to say, they don't have an acronym for it, but they know the letters, whichever way floats your boat. The bottom line is just that you appreciate that there are 11 organ systems, right? And collectively, these organ systems make up your entire body. That is very important to take note of, right? So if we go through them quickly, what does the U stand for?
Urinary system.
Urinary system. What's the major organ associated with the urinary system?
Bladder.
Bladder, right?
Kidneys.
The kidneys is the organ, bladder is the structure. And what is the one function? You look at that in SNF2. You wouldn't look at it now. But what does your bladder do? It only does one thing. One thing and one thing only.
It holds your urine.
That's it. That's all it does. Now, if somebody's walking down the street and let's say they hold in their urine, is it possible that you hear poto and you see urine all over the place? Is that possible for your bladder to burst and splatter urine all over the place? Could that happen?
That's it.
No, why not?
I don't know, sir, but it wouldn't just explode as not a bomb.
Very good point. Yeah. So it wouldn't, number one, it wouldn't. And you said a lot there in saying that you wouldn't develop that kind of pressure in your bladder that will enable it, or the force that it lets out that will allow it to rip through all of those layers. Remember, you have adipose tissue, you have your outer epithelium, and plus there's a sheath that covers all the organs. I don't know if it have anybody here that hunts, that's going to forest and hunt. Okay, we don't have any hunters among us.
Is it the serous membrane?
Serous, no. It's a peri. There's a fibrous coat that covers the entire body. So if you remove the skin, so I say with animals, if you're skinning an animal per se, if you take out the fur, you see this white covering, you know.
Yes, sir, it looks like if it's in a sack kind of.
Correct.
In the whole body.
Yeah, and the body has the same thing. What is it called? Anybody?
The greater omentum.
Greater omentum? I want to say no. It has a particular name. What is it? And you'll see it, of course, when they go theater and so on, anytime they do surgery, where after they go through, the adipose, well, of course, the epidermis adipose tissue.
The peritoneum or something, sir?
Thank you very much. Yeah, the peritoneum, right? So they have to go through that, and it is a fibrous coat, and they have to cut that, and then you'll get to the muscle layers, and then beneath that, you will get into your organs. So which is why it is virtually impossible. You wouldn't hear somebody go poto and urine all over the place. Not going to happen, because to breach all of those layers, the kind of force you'll have to develop is not that which could normally exist in terms of present in your bladder for whatever reason. All right. So we talk about you. N. What does the N stand for in terms of organ systems?
Nervous.
Nervous system.
Nervous system, yeah. Very important, nervous system. And we mentioned that the nervous system interacts with two others to bring about movement. Which two other organ systems does it interact with to bring about movement?
Skeletal and muscular.
Muscular and skeletal.
Excellent answers. Thanks, Sophia, Bina, all those, Aliyah, I think, as well. Amira, all those who answered, yeah, muscular and skeletal. So those are a trifecta, as it were, those three. In terms of bringing about movement, UNSL, we mentioned lymphatics. That's where you have your white blood cells, very important as it relates to COVID-19. What's the latest on COVID-19? Anybody has any feedback? What's the latest you've heard on COVID-19?
So one of the high school in Tobago, I think it's Irie High School.
Yes.
There's a certain amount of students, I don't know if it's 60 or 90, and 4 teachers are positive.
Yeah, so that is the tricky thing. Thanks very much. You're right on ball, Alina. Thank you very much. As it relates to the spread, all you need is one person or a couple, and then, you know, if persons are unvaccinated, one of the things, now being vaccinated doesn't ensure that you would not get the infection, but it definitely improves your chances significantly, right? In that it boosts the immune system to the point that it will resist the spread of the virus to the point that you now become even a carrier. So over in Tobago, yes, that happened in a school, which is why the whole notion of going back out to school thing, you know, it's up in the air in terms of making that decision. So we wait and see. Even for us at COSTAT, as you're well aware, you know, we have shifted to the online environment and we await ministries' directive otherwise, but we'll stay here, you know, at least for this semester, which ends in January to February, at least for that long, unless we hear something radically different from the ministry, but it looks like we'll hold on to that. Okay, so UNSLI, integumentary. Is your skin important?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What will happen if you didn't have skin? What would happen to you? What would happen to you as it relates to water or to your moisture content?
You'll dry up.
Absorb?
Yeah, you lose a lot of water. Yeah, so the water will be absorbed. I get what you're saying in terms of anybody. Yeah, you'd lose it. And I think what you're trying to say as well, by extension, in terms of that whole notion of sweating, perspiration, that would be absent because that is one of the functions of the skin as well, right? And I'm sure many of us have noticed it. You ever notice when you jump into a pool or even when you take a shower and you look at your skin, right? How does the water look on your skin? Does it look like droplets or does everybody get wet? Or does it form, you know, like a little ball of water? I don't know if you ever noticed. Okay,
it's like droplets.
Yeah, it forms droplet. So actually, there are oils in your skin that makes your skin rather waterproof. To a large extent, we don't think about it like that, but your skin is indeed, it repels water, right? So it has a certain degree of waterproofness, if you could want to use that word, and all of that will be lost. So one, if you don't have skin, you'll lose moisture rapidly. So therefore, what you're assuming that, let's say, your nerves intact, we're just looking at a theoretical situation. Imagine you take off all your skin, but everything's still functioning for the most part. You'll have to constantly be drinking water because you'll be losing all of that water by radiation, right? You'll be losing it to the external environment. So you constantly have to keep drinking water, right? And that's just one of the issues you'll have. Of course, what is the biggest issue you'll have as it relates to your life when you don't have skin? One word begins with I.
Infection.
There'll be one big open sore. Yeah. And now it's like barbecue and everything roll into one. All them bacteria telling a friend and a cousin, look how big sore there, let's go. right? Now they can enter your body and there's virtually no protection. Because if you look at your body, there are only certain points of entries where bacteria in particular could enter. Where do they choose to go? When you think about bacteria, infection, disease, could you point out certain parts of your body that are susceptible or where the bacteria will look to go if they want to get to the internal environment? Where would they go?
So your nose or your nostril?
Yeah, so any mouth, anywhere where you have a mucus layer, a layer that secretes some type of moisture, right? So you could look at the anus, you could look at the vaginal tract, right? You could look at your mouth, you could look at your eyes, your nose, your ears, all of these, right? These are susceptible areas. But what the body has done, it has tried to put up a defense mechanism in all of these areas. So when we look at the vaginal area, what defense mechanism exists there that prevents bacteria from entering? 2 letters.
Self-cleaning, so that's how it protects.
Pardon?
I said it's self-cleaning, so that's how it protects itself.
Yeah, but something else as well. 2 letters, and you looked at it in chemistry. Thank you very much. Thank you, Crystal. Yes, it is acidic. The environment of the vagina is actually acidic because of the fact of the proximity to the anus. Infection can get across, so therefore it's acidic by nature. And that acidity, it kills off the bacteria. So when you look at reproduction, which you will look at in SNF2, you will see that, for instance, when reproduction occurs in terms of the semen coming from the male, one of the challenges that the sperm has, or what it has to do, is it has to neutralize that environment, or else literally the acid in the vaginal tract will kill the sperm. So it has to neutralize it. And that is done through the secretions from the bulbourethral and other glands, Cowper's glands and the prostate gland. It neutralizes that environment. So literally that the sperm themselves are not killed. All right, you speak more to that when you look at in SNF2. All right, UNSLIC. What does the C stand for again? I forgot. Cardiovascular. What organ? When we hear cardiovascular, what organ comes to mind?
Heart.
The heart. Yeah. Let me ask a question. Could you get cancer of the heart? Have you ever heard of cancer of the heart?
No.
No, right? So it's one of the things in science, you never say no. What you say instead is what? What phrase would you say? Or what 2 words you'll use? Highly unlikely, right? It is very, very unlikely you will get it. And I have never, I'm not saying I am the end all of everything. I've never come across any incidences of it. It's highly, highly unlikely. Does anybody know why? Why it is that the heart doesn't get cancerous? That one I'll give you for homework. Give that some thought and so we could bring the answer for my next day. Why you don't get cancer, the heart? That's a rather interesting reason why. All right. But the cardiovascular system, critical for moving the blood around the body and also for keeping, not only moving the blood around the body, but maintaining that blood pressure, which is critical to life. So the heart, very important. The heart and its circulatory system consisting of arteries, arterioles, veins, and venules, and capillaries, very, very important. As you mentioned, capillaries. What happens when someone has diabetes as it relates to capillaries? Anybody want to fill in the blank? When someone has diabetes, what does it do to the capillaries? 1 word.
It destroys them?
Okay, I wanted to say damage, but if left unchecked, it will destroy them, yes. Now, is a capillary small?
Yes. Yes.
How small is a capillary? Let's have a look. The diameter of a capillary is what? 8 to 10 micrometers. Remember, millimeter, thumb and forefinger. Divide that space into 1,000. That's a micron or a micrometer. So just imagine 8 of those small slices that you just divide into 1,000, that little space. 8 of those, that's the diameter of a capillary. So the thing is this, these capillaries, you find them, it's known as, they form part of what is known as a microcirculation in your body. And you find it in all your organs, right? So it's a very fine circulation. This carries the blood to the cells. Remember, the cells, they need to get blood. And why do the cells need to get blood going to them? Why do they need? What does the blood bring to a cell? It brings two things in particular. Oxygen is one. And what's the other thing?
Nutrients.
Nutrients. Thank you very much. Nutrients, right? And what does the cell do with the nutrients? Let's say sugar. It could use, of course, proteins and fats as well, but let's look at sugar. What does it do with sugar?
Converts it to energy.
Thank you very much. It breaks it down and it uses the oxygen to do it. That is why oxygen is so critical for life, because at the level of the cell, we're looking at tissue respiration. Well, collection of cells give you tissue, but it uses that to break down the food to generate ATP. And that ATP is used for everything, muscle, you name it, anybody, anything that involves movement has to have ATP. So that is used at the level of the cell itself, right? So the blood facilitates that. Back to the capillaries. Capillaries, 8 to 10 microns, very small. You find them all over in every organ. When sugar or glucose remains in the circulatory system for 2 extended periods of time, what would it do to the lining of the capillaries? It will damage it. And when it damages it, what happens? Ultimately, as somebody did mention, if left unchecked, it could destroy them. So what you'll have happening at the level of an organ, you'll have some tissues which will not be getting blood. They will not be getting nutrients. They're not getting oxygen. They are not being able to generate ATP. So what will happen to a cell if it doesn't generate ATP? ...
It dies.
It dies, yeah. If you can't get the energy to do the normal functions, you know, all the functions necessary for life within at the level of a cell, it will die. And when the cells die, what will happen to the tissue? If the cells die, what will happen to the tissue? If we're looking at this interconnectivity, cells make tissues. So if the cells die, what will happen to the tissue?
The tissue dies too.
Tissue dies. If the tissue dies, what will happen to the organ? The organ, it will start to, I like how you answer that. It will start to fail, and ultimately, if left unchecked, it will die as well. So that's how one of these things with diabetes in particular, diabetes is a situation where the sugar remains in the blood vessels. It's not taken up by the cells. The sugar then disrupts or damages the endothelial lining of the capillaries, which is associated with the microcirculation. The microcirculation is the very fine circulation that carries blood to every part of the body, including the organs. So what you have, organ damage occurring, when organ damage occurring, if left unchecked, that organ could die. So what happens? Of course, you see the symptoms before it actually happens. So with the kidneys, microcirculation is affected, you start to get what? Kidney failure. When you're looking at the eyes, you have microcirculation in the eyes. What happens? Person's vision starts to go. And the list goes, you can just use imagination. Anything involving the circulation of blood, because it's microcirculation through the capillary, it goes everywhere. And you have damage. So which is why it's very important as it relates to diabetes, always have a sugar level check, because having sugar within your blood, having that blood sugar level too high, it causes damages. It damages the capillaries. Okay, UNSLICE, D, digestion, important. Digestion important. Breakdown of food. Yeah, that's how we get the nutrients to power it, power our bodies. Reproduction. Out of all the organ systems, reproduction is the most important. Why? What would happen if we didn't reproduce? One word.
We would go extinct.
Extinct. We disappear. And that's why the urge to reproduce is so strong. All right? UNSR, what's the other R? Respiration, we mentioned that. Getting oxygen and removing the waste product when you break down sugar plus oxygen gives you carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So that the carbon dioxide has to be removed, and that is is removed via ventilation across your lungs. And then the last one now, RRM. What does the M stand for? Muscular system. We mentioned that the trifecta, skeletal, nervous, muscular, important for movement. All right. So that's the major organs. The cavities, those are things which you just have to revisit in terms of appreciating. Right? We have the major cavities which hold the organs. Let me ask you this. In our bodies, as it relates to the skeletal system, how could we recognize the more important organs in your body? Using your skeletal system as a guide, what would you say? That correlation between the skeletal system and important organs. What would you say? Could you draw a connection between the two? Yes. What would you find?
The more important organs will be protected by the skeletal system.
Okay. Yes, and you were saying the same thing, Charles, right? You said the same thing, but just differently. So I appreciate where you were coming from. Yeah, but Chelsea hit it on the head there. The more important organs, when you look at important organs, they're either wholly or partially covered with bone. When you see you don't have a bone surrounding you, well, you know, you could lose it. You'll miss it, but you could lose it. Could you think of any part of your body where you don't have bone protecting the organ or the structure itself? So the bone is not on the outside, but on the inside then.
So your small intestines, your large intestines, more down to your...
Okay, so you're looking at the abdominal cavity. But does the abdominal cavity, does it have an outer protection of bone?
Not to my knowing.
The pelvic side, the pelvic area has the iliac.
So when you're looking at, let's say you mentioned it, but I like your logic, you're thinking there. When you look at those structures themselves, when you look at the gut, right, you don't have any bone really covering directly the gut, and they of themselves have no bones in them. Why doesn't your small intestine, large intestine have a bone running through them, by the way? Anybody knows? For a very simple reason.
So that everything can move freely by the digestion.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit tricky to move things if it did have bones in them, you know, running through the middle. If you're looking at the intestine, right? And not only that, it'll be a little tricky as well because, you know, when you look at your large and small intestine, what is unique about the large and small intestine? Now, it's very long. Now, how long is your long intestine? And how long is your small intestine?
They're about 30 feet together, I think.
Collectively, when you look at both of them, the large intestine is about 5 feet. So that is about the height of, correct me if I'm wrong, an average woman. Yes, about 5 feet. I don't know if that is correct to say, a 5 foot average, 5'2". So about 5 feet tall. That is your large intestine. So what about your small intestine? How long is your small intestine?
I believe the small intestine larger than the
It is, yeah, it's about 22 feet. So it's about 4 times, it's about 4, if you take four women then, assuming their average size is about 5 feet, right? And you put 4 of them shoulder to shoulder. That is how tall, long your small intestine is. Now, how does all of that fit inside of your abdominal cavity? One word, how does it fit?
It packed together.
That is more than one word. So you can say packed.
Intertwines?
Entwines, yeah, I like the word twine, but if you say packed is right. So you have it twisted, right? It twisted back and, you know, in a serpentine manner, back and forth, right? And that's how it fits there. But isn't it absolutely incredible? Imagine the length of 4 persons, as is small, plus the length of a normal person, which is 5 feet. And that is your large intestine. All of that fits there. If it wasn't twisted up, you'll have to be over, 27 feet tall. That would be, if it was just straight. So that would be a big problem there. But when we look at the abdominal cavity, to an extent, it does have a protection. What protects it in a little bit? Not totally, but what protects your, you know, when you look at the lower abdominal area, you do have fat, yes, and that is a protection. But in terms of the skeleton, what part of the skeletal area protects it? Well, more the upper, It's well, I see what you're thinking.
Abdominal cavity or the pelvic?
Yeah, the abdominal pelvic cavity. I see, I know y'all went lower. That's why you say no protection. Okay, I would agree with you there. I was thinking about, I would agree with you there. You're quite right. I was thinking higher up. I was thinking looking at the ribs, right? And, but on that same note, when you look at the lower abdominal pelvic cavity, why do you not have any bones there? In terms of externally to protect it, why is it open? For a very simple reason.
Because there is where most of your waste out of your body comes out, so they had to be kind of more free, I guess.
Right. Okay. If you're looking at the rare area, you're looking at the lower abdominal pelvic region. Okay, that is true. So if you were looking, I see what you're saying. If you're looking from the bottom, looking up, right, it is hollow. In that regard, there's no bone that goes across, let's say, in the lower pelvic area. That is true. But if you were to look at the abdominal pelvic area, right? So in fact, when you look at the ribs, you have this arch, and then there's no space where your belly is.
The diaphragm, sir?
Well, the diaphragm is the muscle, yes. So the muscle is there. That helps, very critical for respiration. Or does the diaphragm offer protection to the lungs itself? Well, to a certain extent it does, more from mechanical injury, I would say. But as we're well aware, if somebody gives you a good cough in your guts, as they say in your breadbasket, as boxers would use that term, for those of us who watch MMA as well, when you see somebody get a good shot to the midsection, you see them crumple over, right? Because of the fact there's no bone there, so it's actually one of your weak spots. Right? But it has to do with one of the organ systems, why you don't have bone covering your belly area.
For reproduction.
Thank you. For reproduction, yeah. Because of the fact, if you did have ribs extending all the way down to the lower pelvic area, what would happen to the developing fetus? It would press against the ribs.
No room for expansion.
Correct. Very true. And therefore the fetus will press against the rib. And that could prove fatal. If it's pressing up against the ribs, that could affect the development of the fetus. So therefore that area has no ribs at all, right? For allowing for the distension of the stomach. Well, not the stomach, sorry, but the lower abdominal pelvic area, such that you could have the proper development of the fetus. I hear what some people say, well, sir, why it is then that men don't have ribs going all the way down?
So you read my mind.
Well, well, remember the body is a work in progress. It is a machine, it's not a perfect machine. So maybe in like the next 100,000, 200,000 years, you might see men having ribs going all the way down, right? It's a work in progress, but it's easier, when you're programming it from a genetic perspective in a cell, it's easier for both of them to kind of look the same. But who knows, given time, maybe you would see that extension of ribs occurring with men, right? Because we could see for the female why that is so, but for the male, it doesn't really have, we don't really have that issue occurring. So the best answer I could give you, maybe it's a work in progress, and maybe in a couple 100,000 to 1 million years, we will see that males do develop rib cage that go all the way down, to protect that. Yeah, go ahead.
Even not for reproduction, because the males can't naturally make babies, but suppose there could be something else that happens, that there would be an expansion down there, and if there were ribs in men, it could hamper that, like some sort of medical condition or something that cause the expansion down there.
So what you're saying is that you have that area existing to facilitate some injury that could occur, let's say the growth of a tumor or something like that, that could cause distension of that area. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. So that's why it was left in the wisdom, it was like, okay, let's leave it that way just in case. Could be. Could be. I'm not mad at you. That's a very good theory, and it sounds logical. So that could very well be correct.
Excuse me, sir, if you don't mind me chiming in. What if we equate it back to the baby? That's just how nature makes things. Because if you look at a dog, the male and female dog body structure is the same, but only the female dog will carry the baby. So of course her belly will drop. So similar to us, I'm guessing she doesn't have any ribs around her belly where she might carry the baby, right? But the male dogs, they don't get pregnant, but they don't have any ribs there. So maybe nature just intended for the body to be shaped that way. But in the woman, it have a particular reason for it.
When you look at the development of the, very good point, when you look at the development of the embryo, up until about month 4 to 5, a male and female embryo looks virtually identical. Only after that point, you have what is known as determination in terms of a signal is sent where specifically certain changes occur that facilitate the development of the organs, male organs and the female organs. If, however, you do a comparative analysis of male genitalia and female genitalia, you will see that they are comparative structures. So like, for instance, the clitoris is really an undeveloped penis, but it has the same structure to it. So all that being said, there could be some truth to that yes, in the wisdom that, you do leave the structures there, and you just develop some of them more in the female. And that's exactly what happens. So like when you look at the clitoris, it shrinks in the female, whereas in the male, it extends. That signal is sent to the tissues to keep replicating such that it extends in the male, but not in the female, it shrinks down. And then you see there are other structures very similar. So you could draw parallels. If you look at the genitalia, male and female, you could draw parallels to the structures themselves, right? When you look at developmental biology, they would tell you that. So you're very true in terms of that, of that comment, specifically that yes, because functionality in terms of carrying a child to term, a fetus to term, that you do have changes occurring within the female development brought about by this determination factor that occurs during month 4 to 5 within the embryo, within the mother developing in the umbilical sac itself. So you could mention that could be true as well, yes. So that's a very good point. All right. Okay. So very good. I just wanted to touch on that in terms of the organ system. Of course, you have the quadrants and the cavities and the major body systems. But just to appreciate the fact that when you do look at a human body, it's a marvelous engineering feat to fit all of these things, right? Imagine 5 feet. You have 1 person length in terms of the large intestine that fits in. Then you have 4 persons shoulder to shoulder, standing on shoulders. All of that fits in. It's a marvelous engineering feat. It really is a fantastic machine. And of course, to facilitate its proper functioning, always remember, you do need to get some rest. So whenever you do get the opportunity, do get some rest, yes? Okay. All right, so in terms of for the lab itself, further things, you just read through. So in terms of review the links on anatomical position, organs, cavities, and body systems. So you just have to review these links here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as we mentioned, of course, finish off the lab by next Sunday and deposit it in 1 person per group. All right, just put the names of the persons on your submission and then put it into the Dropbox by next Sunday, no later than 11:59 p.m. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Will this assignment be with any maths or just
Yeah. Collectively, how much is your lab worth? Let's have a quick look. That's a very good question.
20%.
Lab. Not here. It doesn't have your course outline. 20%, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your lab. In terms of your lab itself. So how many labs do we have if you do the maths? Is it 10 labs?
10 labs. Right.
So it's 10 labs, right? And each one is worth 10 labs. One student, that's why I was not wondering. Right. So 10 labs, each one is worth 2. So 10 by 2 is 20. Yep.
Labs 1 to 4 and 69 are 1%, and then sessions 5 and 10 are spotter exams. So they would be.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it has the breakdown in the course outline. Correct. Thank you. All right.
Excuse, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Labs,
Alina.
right?
Mm-hmm.
lab section, will it always be group work, or it will also have individual work?
The spotters themselves, the spotters are individual, but in terms of the labs themselves, all of them, yes. All of them will be group work, yeah.
We'll have the same group members?
You all want to change them up from time to time?
No, sir, no, sir. I'm fine with mine.
But to answer your question, yes. So you would have the same group members, yeah. It'll be a little tricky for me if you change up. If you feel strongly about it, you know, you could just DM me directly and I'll keep it in mind, you know, if you change it up, yeah.
Sir, I friend my group members.
Pardon?
So
sorry.
I would like to stay in my group, please.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'd keep it.
And we could also take into account, sorry, we could also take into account that we have to kind of grade our peers at the end of the semester. So if somebody isn't pulling their weight, just know that you will get a bad grade from everybody else, and just do what you're supposed to do.
On that topic, if it is you find that, you know, within your group, you have somebody who quote unquote not pulling your weight, and you try as best as you could, and you still find they're not, you could just let me know privately, right? So, you know, in WhatsApp group, you know, just contact me directly there and just let me know, sir, you know, in our group XYZ. And I would keep that in mind when I'm marking. But other than that, everybody gets the same grade. You know, so if that is happening and you don't tell me anything, that person will get the same grade as you. But if you feel, you know, unjustly that this person is not pulling his or her weight, you could just let me know and I will adjust the grade accordingly. Yeah. Or Kavita, go ahead. Yes, please.
So when is our first spotter?
When is your first spotter? It's written in the course outline. So you know the course outline on the lecture page? If you look to the top of the lecture page, right, under announcements, you'll see that, like how it has it here, it has course outline. So it has it there.
Okay, no problem.
But notwithstanding that, hang on to your wagon wheels. Let me see if I could roll down here and see. Here we see the week of the 30th of November to the 6th of December, right? So that's towards the end of this month. Yeah. So it's carded. I'll tell you the specific date, November the 30th. So that's on the Tuesday. So in fact, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks from now. Yeah? That's okay? But this is written as well in the, as I mentioned, if you were to go in the lecture and you look to the top, look, you'll see there's a document there that specifically has important dates. So you can just double check that. You can just have a look there. But it's on the 30th of November to answer your questions. Anything else? All right. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Samantha, Risa.
Yes, hi, sir. As you know, my mom passed away, and I
did not know that. No, condolences. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, I have been I missed the first session of the classes.
I tell you what. Yeah, go ahead, Risa. You seem confident.
Yes. So I'm now catching back up with all my classes. So I was wondering if other than this assignment for the 7th, did I miss any other important assignments? Which I was seeing, I think something with a cell, which we had to drop in the drop box. I'm not very sure if we had any assignments.
Well, today was the first lab day, so you haven't missed anything as it relates to the lab. In terms of the lecture, so we had a little downtime with our website. So I don't know if you all noticed with the assignments in the lecture, the dates, I want to say it's been put back to the 15th, the due dates. Yeah, I don't know if you know designing lecture.
Yes, sir, the 15th of November.
Put back to the 15th to accommodate you. But I tell you what, Risa, could we speak more to that during lecture tomorrow? But all that being said, the assignments, the due dates have been pushed back, all of them, to the 15th. So you have 2 weeks then, well, not 2 weeks, 13, almost 2 weeks in terms of catching up, getting up to speed. But notwithstanding that, you know, in lieu of your special situation, you know, you could speak to me directly and we can make something work for you, you know, if you feel any challenge along the way, okay?
Okay, sir, thanks.
Okay. And again, condolences.
So as you said, the assignment will push back to the 15th. But the only one that I'm aware of that we're going to be submitting is the ones themselves. So the first two we also need to submit?
It's up to you. It's optional, it's not marked. So some people wanted to send them in. So if you do, that's why I said the date was pushed back for those, but it's optional. You're quite right. There's only one that's actually due for marks. But if you want to submit the others, yeah, you could do that.
Which one is due for marks, sir?
It's marked. I want to say it's marked on the page itself. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't comment on it. So we could pick that up tomorrow. That's okay. I don't have it in front of me. And I don't want to come out. Let me see. I don't have my course outline in front of me, so I don't want to speak. So I could pull it up. But if you look on in the lecture section, if you go to the top, under the announcements, you'll see there's a document there that outlines how the marks are allocated for the semester. So if you check it out there, it will tell you exactly which ones need to be submitted for marks. Okay? So let's go to the lecture page on that.
Excuse me.
Yes, go
just
ahead.
one quick question. Are we saving the document as a PDF to send to you or a document file?
The way how it was set up, either one will work.
Okay,
Either
thank
PDF
you.
or Word, whichever one you feel more comfortable with.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Any other questions? All right, let me stop the recording.